And a reminder, my friends, to visit Prager University at my website, DennisPrager.com, where we promise you a semester's worth of wisdom in 5 minutes, which, given the state of our universities, is not that big a challenge, unfortunately. I'm delighted to welcome to the Dennis Prager Show Meg Whitman. She is, of course, the former CEO of eBay, a profoundly successful business person, and she is running for the nomination for the Republican Party to be the next governor of California. Meg Whitman, it's a pleasure to meet you, even if only by telephone.
Well, thank you for having me on your show.
You're very welcome. Let me ask you what's on my heart, first of all, and the heart of, I suspect, many Californians, and certainly those of us who are Republican. We feel that we have been burned by a very, very successful non-politician who became the Republican governor of the state of California, a lovely man, and he is lovely. I've had a great cigar with him in his tent. I enjoy him. I like him. But I think he's been a not terribly wonderful governor from the perspective of my values, and that is, of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Right.
So here we have again a wildly successful outsider from politics running for the Republican nomination for governor of California. And why is this not going to be a female Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah. Well, I think the first is our backgrounds are just entirely different. You know, I'm a business person, and I've been in business for 20 years and have run very large organizations. And I think at this point in California's history where jobs and unemployment and government spending, in my view, are the two most important issues, someone with my 30 years of leadership experience, I know a lot about the economy and how to create jobs. You know, interestingly, the government does not create jobs. The government creates the conditions for small businesses to grow and thrive. And you probably know that eBay, over 1 million small businesses made most, if not all, of their living on eBay. So I really understand small business. I understand job creation. And I know budgets, and I understand how to make the tough economic trade-offs. And importantly, I have tremendous experience running things efficiently and effectively. So I think it's leadership, it's business experience, and, you know, I've run a P&L and, you know, met payroll, and I think that's actually a pretty important thing given the state that California is in.
Right, but of course there are many people in business. I think of the heads of Google, for example, who have made vast sums of money, and their politics are quite left of center. The businessmen are noted for being conservative, but they're really not often. So,
so I am a fiscal conservative. I can't tell you how passionately I feel about getting government spending under control. We are spending money that does not need to be spent. You know, it's interesting, the liberal media in California tells us that we have two choices. We either cut services or we increase taxes. I don't believe that. I want to make sure we are running this as efficiently and effectively as we possibly can, because we deserve to have every taxpayer. If they could come sit next to me in Sacramento in a couple of years, I'd like them to say, you know what, we are spending the money as effectively as we can. And then, you know, my eBay experience taught me that make a small number of rules, get out of the way, and keep, you know, the taxes low, and it will be remarkable what happens. You know, we did not build eBay. We provided the trading platform. We created the conditions, but frankly, it was the buyers and sellers who built the company. And I think the analogy is pretty similar. So I've got, you know, tremendous passion around, you know, small number of rules, get out of the way, and let Californians take over from there.
So if you were emperor, not just governor, emperor of California, and you had 100 days to turn the state around, what would you do?
Well, first I'd focus on three things. You know, I am a big believer in focus. And I think today, if you go to Sacramento with too broad an agenda, you will get stymied at every turn. So I want to focus on creating and keeping jobs in California, cutting government spending, not just slowing the rate of growth, cutting government spending, and fixing our kindergarten through 12th grade education system. So with regards to jobs, the first thing I would do is call for a moratorium on all new regulations. We are just strangling small business. As I have traveled the state, interestingly, while I get an earful on taxes, and I'll come on to that in a minute, regulation, we could do a tremendous amount of good for small business in this state if we streamlined regulation, if we, you know, put a moratorium on AB 32, which I believe is in the process of moving jobs out of state, if we fixed the labor laws and things like that. I think there's a lot we could do there. And then the second thing.
All right, hold on with the second. I want to take the other two when we get back, because given your belief in free enterprise, we're going to give free enterprise a couple of minutes here to sponsor the show.
Thanks.
We'll continue with Meg Whitman, candidate for governor of the state of California. Where California goes, the country goes. So this is of interest to all of us on the Dennis Prager Show.
Open up that folder. Up to the...
You're listening to the Dennis Prager Show, and I am speaking to Meg Whitman, who was CEO of eBay, an immensely successful company, and she was immensely successful as its CEO. And she is aspiring to be the governor of the state of California. I asked you if you were emperor or empress of California, what would you do? And you named three things: creating and keeping jobs, cutting spending, and fixing K through 12.
Correct.
So let's go to number one again: creating and keeping jobs. And one of the things you do is stop all new regulations, so to speak.
Exactly. We got to stop the madness. We got to put a moratorium on all new regulations, and then go through and see whether we can streamline, eliminate duplication, eliminate conflict. You know, I was with a farmer the other day in San Luis Obispo. He said, you know, I've got three different sets of regulations. One tells me I got to recycle all the water on my farm. Another one tells me I can't recycle any water on the farm. What would you guys like me to do? And that's the kind of thing we've just got to eliminate. And then, and so I'd like to streamline those regulations, and I think that's one of the very most important things we can do. Second, I want to provide some targeted tax relief. Right now, I don't think we can afford an across-the-board tax cut. It's something I'd like to do longer term, but as you know, we're facing a $21 billion budget deficit over the next 18 months. So let's do some targeted tax relief that leads directly to hiring. For example, eliminating what I call the factory tax, which is we're only one of three states in the whole country that taxes manufacturers on buying equipment to manufacture in California, and it's the best reason I know to go to Nevada or Oregon. So those are the kinds of things that we've got to do, because I think we're going to have to try to create 2 million jobs. That's what it's going to take us to get back to, you know, more normal levels of employment.